which is typically from December or January through March. So this is, of course, when the coyotes are mating. Again, it's only one pair in the group that is mating with each other. And coyotes are monogamous. They will stay together for life. Both the male and the female help to raise the pups. And we think that, because it is so important for both of them to stay and raise the pups, that's why we do see so much monogamy amongst them. Dr. Stanley Garrett is the head of that Cook County Coyote Project, and he has often said that he's never documented a case of divorce amongst coyotes in the wild, and that's after studying them for, I don't even know, 20 years or so. He also had a student who did DNA analysis of the different groups, and she found there was even no cheating amongst the mammals, which is very rare in mammals, unfortunately, for humans. And we just have found that. So anyway, when coyotes are during the mating season, because they are so monogamous, the males do get territorial of the females during this time of year. So I'll talk more about this later, but sometimes during this time of year, if there are large dogs that are unleashed, so they're off-leash large dogs running through a male coyote's territory, we may view that dog as a threat to his mate. Sometimes we see conflicts there. Okay, the next season is pup rearing season. This is, of course, when the pups are born. This typically happens in April or May and lasts through August. This is the only time of year that coyotes use a den. So a lot of times people think that coyotes will come back to a certain den all year long, but that's actually not the case. Most of the time they will just sleep under, in the open ground or under cover somewhere. It usually varies from night to night or day to day where they're sleeping. But this time of year, when the pups are too young to go out and hunt with them, they plop the pups in a den. Typically it's a den that's been abandoned by another mammal, and they'll make it their own. So females also will often have multiple denning sites in their home range. So if they feel that their den is threatened in any way, they'll usually just move their pups, and that they may move their pups several times a year. So coyotes are not incredibly defensive of their dens or their pups. It's not like a grizzly bear, for example, where if you come upon a den, they're going to fight you. What they'll do is they'll just move their pups. So it's really not an issue. However, the parents do have to feed the pups, so they are out there hunting. You might see them more this time of year just because they have more mouths to feed. You might see them out there in the fields hunting for rodents. Sometimes we do see conflicts, though, with small pets during this time of year, which I'll get to later. Okay, the next season is dispersal season. This begins in about September. This is when some of those yearling coyotes, the ones that have been around for a year or so, they get kicked out of the group. They become those transient coyotes who are out there on their own looking for a new home range. So we typically see less conflicts during this time of year, but sometimes we see issues with these younger, inexperienced coyotes. They may take advantage of, for instance, people that leave pet food outside. They're not great hunters yet, so if they see easy sources of food, they might take advantage of that. Okay, so